Your morning coffee just cost you $5. Meanwhile, someone just made $15 from the cup you threw away. That aluminum can sitting in your recycling bin. It's currency you don't even know you're discarding. The homeless aren't just asking for handouts. They've built systems, learned patterns, developed expertise in markets most of us didn't know existed. Some of these methods are completely legal. Others occupy gray areas that would make a lawyer uncomfortable. A few cross lines that society drew for good reasons. But all of them share one thing in common. They work when traditional employment doesn't. Let's start with something you probably think is worthless. That empty soda can you're about to toss. In 10 states across America, it's worth actual money. Michigan pays 10 cents per container. California and a handful of others offer 5 to 15 cents depending on size and material. 300 containers isn't unusual for someone who knows what they're doing. That's $30 before lunch. Parks after summer weekends turn into gold mines. College campuses after football games become treasure troves of abandoned beer cans. The collection process has its own logic, its own unspoken rules. Garbage day becomes payday. While you're sleeping, there's someone methodically working through recycling bins on your street, pulling out anything with a deposit. They're not making noise, not making a mess, just quietly converting your trash into their survival. Festivals and sporting events represent the big scores. Thousands of people buying overpriced drinks, many too drunk or excited to care about getting their deposit back. A single baseball game can yield enough recyclables to fund several days of meals. The competition gets fierce though. Veterans stake out territories. Newcomers learn quickly which spots are claimed and which are fair game. But here's where it gets interesting. The money doesn't always go where you'd expect. When you're sleeping on concrete, sometimes you need something to take the edge off. Yet plenty goes toward actual necessities. The income varies wildly. Bad days might yield $10. Great days could hit 50 or more. It's unpredictable, exhausting work that requires walking miles while carrying heavy bags. Not exactly the career guidance counselors recommend. When recyclables aren't enough, donation centers exist to help homeless people, providing free clothes, phones, and supplies. Except not everything donated gets used as intended. That iPhone someone generously gave to help a homeless person get back on their feet, it might end up at a pawn shop within hours, converted into $20 to $50 of immediate cash. It's an informal economy that operates like a sidewalk boutique. The ethics here get complicated fast. Donors imagine their old winter coat keeping someone warm through January. Instead, it might get traded for cash that buys something entirely different. Maybe medication, maybe food. Judging these choices from the comfort of a warm home feels easy. What surprised me most when learning about this, a significant chunk of money from resold donations goes toward pet food. Homeless people with dogs often prioritize their animals over themselves. There's something simultaneously heartbreaking and beautiful about that loyalty. The daily income from reselling donated goods ranges from $5 to $30, depending on what you've managed to acquire and how good you are at sales. Some people develop regular customers, set up consistent spots, treat it like an actual business. Cities have tried regulating these informal street shops with limited success. Technically, you need permits for sidewalk sales. Practically, enforcement is inconsistent. The whole situation exists in legal limbo. Then there are those who skip the donation process entirely and help themselves to merchandise from actual stores. Shoplifting isn't romantic or noble, but it's common enough that we need to talk about it honestly. When your stomach is empty and the shelves are full, some people make calculations that prioritize immediate survival over long-term consequences. The target items follow predictable patterns. Food and drinks, obviously. Small electronics that convert easily to pawn shop cash. Most of what gets stolen doesn't stay with the thief. It gets converted to money as quickly as possible. There's a whole informal education system where techniques get shared. Stores get rated by difficulty, and successful methods spread through word of mouth. The money flows fast but rarely toward anything permanent. Food provides immediate relief. Alcohol or drugs offer temporary escape. The cycle continues because shoplifting can't build anything beyond today's needs. But not everyone chooses illegal methods. Some stick to the oldest, most straightforward approach to getting money from strangers. All it requires is a cardboard sign, a marker, and the ability to stand on a corner while people pretend not to see you. Location matters, sure, but the real skill lies in reading people. The cardboard sign itself becomes a marketing tool. Generic messages like anything helps blend into background noise. Specific stories grab attention. Need $8 for bus fare to job interview performs better than vague requests. Some signs tell absolute truth. Others craft narratives designed to trigger maximum sympathy. Timing transforms everything. Morning commuters rushing to work rarely stop. Lunch crowds offer better odds. Evening shoppers leaving grocery stores with full carts represent prime opportunities. Their guilt activates automatically when they pass someone asking for help while carrying bags of food they might waste anyway. Weather plays unexpected roles. Light rain actually increases donations. People feel extra sympathy seeing someone standing in drizzle. Heavy storms kill foot traffic entirely. Extreme heat brings water bottles instead of cash, which helps but doesn't pay for anything else. Winter cold generates the most generous responses, perhaps because passers-by imagine themselves in similar conditions. Average somewhere around 15 to 20 on normal days. Enough to eat, maybe afford cheap shelter occasionally, rarely enough to change circumstances fundamentally. Cities regulate panhandling with increasingly creative restrictions. Can't be within 50 feet of ATMs, must stay 15 feet from building entrances, no soliciting in parking lots. Where exactly do you send someone who has nowhere else to go? What surprised researchers studying panhandling? Many people doing it hold jobs. They work part-time or seasonal positions that don't cover basic costs. The working homeless represent a growing demographic nobody wants to acknowledge. But standing on corners asking for change wears people down psychologically. Some folks seek alternatives that feel more dignified, more like actual work. Day labor offers that possibility. Labor pools function as informal employment agencies for the desperate. Show up at dawn. Stand in a parking lot with dozens of others. Wait for contractors to arrive needing bodies for grunt work. The jobs themselves span everything nobody else wants to do. Repetitive tasks that destroy backs and guarantee exhaustion by sunset. Payment comes in cash at day's end, $50 to $100 for 8 to 10 hours of hard labor. Construction cleanup pays best when you can get it. Warehouse work offers consistency but lower rates. Here's what makes this system both brilliant and exploitative. No background checks, no references needed, no permanent commitment. Show up, work, get paid, leave. The uncertainty crushes people slowly. Work 3 days straight, then nothing for a week. Never knowing if tomorrow brings income or idle waiting. Budgeting becomes impossible when income remains unpredictable. Some workers are parents supporting children. They're not stereotypical homeless people. They're moms and dads who fell through cracks in the system. Their kids need winter coats, school supplies, birthday presents. House cleaning represents another option, particularly for women. $10 to $20 per hour to scrub toilets, vacuum floors, organize closets. But something interesting happens sometimes. Homeowners leave food, offer old clothes, provide supplies. Small gestures that acknowledge shared humanity. The physical toll accumulates regardless of which labor you choose. Bodies age faster on the streets. A 40-year-old who's been homeless for 5 years often has the physical condition of someone 60. Day labor accelerates that deterioration. Yet people keep showing up because alternatives seem worse. At least day labor provides purpose, structure, dignity. You're working, not begging or stealing. That distinction matters psychologically even when the pay barely covers survival. For those with different skills, street performing offers another path. Busking transforms public spaces into stages where talent meets desperation. Permit requirements vary by city. Some require licenses, others ban it entirely. But when circumstances get truly desperate, when legal options fail, some people cross lines into territory that risks everything. Drug dealing operates like any underground economy. Small-scale street sales involve minimal quantities. $5 or $20 bags of whatever substance finds demand locally. These aren't cartel operations. Think corner store economics applied to illegal substances. Revenue potential exceeds legitimate options available to homeless individuals. Most sellers use themselves. That's the tragedy nobody discusses openly. They're not entrepreneurs building empires. They're addicts funding their own dependencies through sales to others trapped in identical cycles. Working at a restaurant because you're starving, except the restaurant sells poison and the health department is the police. Pricing stays low because the customer base lacks resources. Selling to other homeless people means accepting their economic reality. Premium pricing doesn't work when nobody has premiums to pay. A strange community forms around these transactions. It resembles a dysfunctional family gathering where real names never get used, and everyone's primary concern involves avoiding law enforcement attention. Police view this improvised pharmaceutical network unfavorably. Arrest means exchanging streets for cells. The revolving door between homelessness and incarceration spins constantly. Money arrives quickly but disappears faster. Addiction ensures that whatever cash doesn't purchase new inventory typically funds personal consumption, maximum effort generating zero forward progress. The psychological weight crushes people slowly. Knowing you're contributing to others' destruction while destroying yourself. Watching friends overdose. Attending funerals of customers who became casualties. The guilt accumulates, but desperation overwhelms conscience. When withdrawal sickness approaches, moral considerations evaporate. Law enforcement crackdowns create temporary disruptions. Sellers scatter, buyers search elsewhere. Within days, new suppliers emerge filling vacant positions. The demand never disappears. The combination of addiction, criminal records, and survival desperation creates nearly unbreakable chains. Breaking free requires resources, support systems, and opportunities that homeless individuals rarely access. These 7 income methods represent the full spectrum of homeless survival economics. None qualify as good options. They're survival strategies born from absence of better alternatives. Each carries costs beyond financial calculations. Homeless individuals develop sophisticated understanding of informal economies. They identify opportunities others overlook, transform worthless items into currency. This ingenuity emerges from necessity rather than choice. Nobody dreams of making living through these methods. These paths represent what happens when traditional economic participation becomes impossible through various combinations of mental illness, addiction, family breakdown, job loss, and systemic failures. Cities pass ordinances banning panhandling, sleeping in vehicles, sitting on sidewalks. These laws don't solve homelessness. They just relocate it or push it underground. Making survival activities illegal doesn't create housing or jobs. It simply adds legal problems to existing difficulties. The gap between public perception and street reality remains enormous. Stereotypes about laziness or moral failure crumble when confronting actual survival economics. The solutions exist, but require resources and political will currently absent. Affordable housing addresses root causes. Mental health services treat underlying conditions. Addiction treatment breaks destructive cycles. Job training programs provide pathways to stability. None of these are mysterious or complicated. They're just expensive and politically unpopular. Their resilience deserves recognition even while circumstances demand change. The human capacity for adaptation and survival shines through these stories. People finding ways to continue existing despite systems designed to make that nearly impossible. This is how homeless people make money without traditional employment. Not through single methods, but through combinations adapted to individual circumstances, local conditions, and personal capabilities. The specific mix varies by person and place, but the underlying reality remains constant. Understanding doesn't require agreement, but it demands honesty about what actually happens when people fall through society's cracks. These aren't the systems anyone chose to build. They're what emerged when traditional options disappeared. The economy continues spinning with or without you. Some people just collect the coins that fall through the gears.